Thank you so much for joining us, Tumaole. Good afternoon once again. Can you just give us a bit more clarity on this exhibition and what it's all about?
Well, good afternoon to you. Well, this exhibition is all about combining the expertise, knowledge and experience of the various local government authorities from the various regions right across Africa. Now, the theme is, of course, moving towards a situation where the local governments in the various regions and various countries across the continent can respond to the various numerous social challenges which face Africa. We know that Africa, of course, is one of the fastest growing economies, if you can call it that collectively, in the world, and this is buoyed on by its youthful population. However, many young people in Africa face the daunting task of having to deal with the various compounded problems of high unemployment, of course, the issue of secure housing, as well as security in terms of the crime and safety and security challenges which face many regions in Africa due to the various military operations, various military conflicts that are raging out across the continent. Now, this is one of the situations that leads to the migration of people seeking greener pastures, seeking security to escape the various conflicts as well. And the local governments are the ones that bear the brunt. Now, Minister in the presidency for South Africa, Minister Jeff Radebe, also outlined the challenges very eloquently, and he basically said that the thrust and the onus is on local governments to come up with the solutions, because the local governments are the ones that, when it comes to the issue of migration of people, refugees and so forth, whether they be economic, whether they be political, they are the ones that then have to deal with the issue of how do we house these people, how do we then feed the people. Food security also very high up on the agenda in both those keynote speakers' addresses, as well as how do we provide social security networks to help basically protect and take care of the people, because they need healthcare, they need housing, and they also need employment as well as opportunity economically. So these are the various issues that were put up high on the agenda in terms of the keynote addresses here. So this is what these various officials from the various regions across Africa will try and thresh out. How then do you deal with policy? Because national policy very often does not correlate with what's happening in terms of the local governance, because national governments, in reacting to an issue of the migration of people, issue of refugees, might open up borders and request local municipalities to then have to deal with how they house, feed, and in very many cases also employ people who are there obviously because of the various mitigating circumstances, including climate and security. These are some of the issues that are very much high up on the agenda, and the various municipalities will then have to share expertise, experience, as well as deal with the various experts from right around the world who are converged here in Sandton in northern Johannesburg to try find some policies that then will then be taken back to their respective countries right across the continent, and to try and formulate one single policy to move Africa forward.
And Tumaole, just what is on display there, and do you get a sense that whatever is being displayed really links the citizens to their cities?
Well, there is a wide-ranging array of displays here at the Sandton Convention Centre, right from the issue of security. There were some displays showing some advancements that have been made in terms of policing. We know that policing is a big challenge when it comes to dealing with the issue of security, and we see that many governments, certainly here in South Africa and in the Southern Africa SADC region, moving away from very aggressive, lethal policing, especially when dealing with issues of service delivery protests. We would have a very key understanding of that here in South Africa, but also regionally. Service delivery, of course, is one of the issues that falls squarely on the doorstep of local governments everywhere. And local governments are very sensitive of the fact that when people rise up and essentially raise their voices, sometimes these protests, when they are appealing for services and for help, can become very violent in their nature, and in responding to that, we're seeing a more humane kind of approach from government. So the exhibitions also are having those kind of exhibits out on the floor, but also exhibits that deal with the issue of housing, for instance, whereby there are various manufacturers dealing with different strategies, different formulas, different types of housing units to try and deal with the rapid urbanization that is being seen right across the continent, with young people moving mostly towards urban areas in seek of better and greener pastures, and this creates a backlog in terms of the rolling out of housing. There are also infrastructure experts and infrastructural exhibits down here at the Sandton Convention Centre. These ones would deal with obviously issues of communication, connectivity, which would then help people as they are seeking to set up their own businesses, for example. So these are some of the highlights and some of the exhibits that are here at the Sandton Convention Centre.
All right, thank you so much. That was our reporter there, Tumaole Mohlaoli, speaking to us live from the Sandton Convention Centre north of Johannesburg. Now, the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, PRASA, is determined to ensure that the controversial 4.8 billion rand locomotives tender is cancelled. The agency intends to ask the court to review the contract. On Friday, the agency filed papers in the High Court in Johannesburg against Suefambo Rail Leasing and its partner, a Spanish locomotives manufacturer, Foslo Espana. The locomotives made headlines earlier this year when they were reported to be too high for the country's railway system. And this led to the questioning of former PRASA chief engineer Daniel Mutimkulu's qualifications. PRASA now wants the court to review and set aside the locomotives contract that was concluded between PRASA and Suefambo Railway.